Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Unnamed podcast. I am your host, Josie, and welcome. Hi, how are you all? Welcome to the second episode. It's crazy. I was thinking, I'm I gotta really record something, and I don't know what to do. And so I was thinking, and I was like, oh, I did say I wanted to do something about NHL player safety, because oh my fucking lord, NHL player safety. I don't know where to start. Peros is a fucking moron sometimes, I swear to God. And also the commissioner. NHL in general is just such a questionable place. It's just, yeah. So you might be wondering, well, Josie, the playoffs haven't finished yet. At the time I'm recording, they haven't finished yet. The third round hasn't even started yet. But I was like, okay, and let me just get this done. I have so much I already want to say. I don't want to make this podcast so freaking long that nobody wants to listen to it. But yeah, so I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. I'm gonna start off with NHL player safety. Talking about Peros, how inconsistent it is, and how many incidents am I talking about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 incidents. But yeah. And then I'm going to be talking about the playoffs in general, just the series that's happened so far, and kind of just almost a preview / thoughts on what is upcoming. I might just do for one podcast, might just do a quick intro being oh yeah, so here's Stanley Cup champions, here's my opinion on it, and yada yada yada, and just go on with life. But yeah. So let me get started. Let me pull up my notes. So, NHL player safety, aka the most inconsistent thing I have ever seen. I'm more inconsistent than my French teacher's grading. Yeah. So player safety. If you guys don't know what the NHL is National Hockey League. I am kind of really a hockey nerd. For my 16th birthday, instead of having the Sweet 16 that all a bunch of girls had, I asked to go to a hockey game, and I went to a Burns game, and I was the 5th row back. I got a puck from Marchand. It was the coolest thing ever. So yeah, it was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed it. They ended up losing, but sad face. But it was a bunch of fun. And before I begin, yes, I am a Bruins fan. I'm a New England fan because that's where I live. New England sports fan. Though I do have I do enjoy teams from other areas as well. Newsflash, I actually low-key enjoy watching the Canadians because they have a bunch of really good players on the team. I just find them enjoyable to watch. But according to my dad, if I ever say that I am a Canadians fan, I would be disowned. So I say I root against teams that play the Canadians. So I'm rooting against Vegas, but I digress. So, NHL player safety. That's kind of the part of the NHL to kind of enforce the rules. If something egregious happened in a game, they say, okay, here's a fine or here's a suspension for this bad hit, for this bad thing that happened. However, there's the issue with it being incredibly inconsistent. And when I say incredibly inconsistent, I'm going to go through some things that happen, which just show how inconsistent they are. And it's really falls, I want to say it just falls on Peros, who's the head of player safety. It really falls on a bunch of people there, but I think Peros is definitely someone to keep an eye on. So the first incident I'm going to talk about is the Carlo Wilson incident. The incident where Tom Wilson, if you don't know who Tom Wilson is, and you're a hockey fan, where have you been? Just where have you been? So what happened is, and I'm not going to show the clips on here. You can probably look it up. There's a really good YouTube channel where they show all the big incidents that happened in different games. It's Jen something. Hold on a sec. I can pull it up and say the name. It's Jen's 95. She, her, they. uploads uploads videos of like incidents that happen and stuff like that. And I enjoy the content there. So what happened in that hit is Wilson laid a bad hit to Carlo, who already has a concussion history. Well, that history is continuing. And gave him a really bad concussion, which actually involved Carlo going to the hospital. Yeah. But so that hit obviously went to NHL Player Safety. And what NHL Player Safety said, Parros apparently did not want to suspend Wilson. Which is really bad. When you look at the hit, when you compare the hit and what happened that led to a dude fucking going to the hospital, yeah, I think that's pretty bad. Don't you say? Unless it was like a legal hit where it was just like an unfortunate situation, like what happened to Tavares in round 1. Like, that was unfortunate. That was not a legal hit. That was an unfortunate hit where like people were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. This was deliberate. Or not deliberate, but it was pretty bad. But apparently Parros did not want to suspend Wilson, and the commissioner had to step in. And keep this in mind. The commissioner had to step in. This will come up in the next incident, which is Wilson and the Rangers. So the first incident, Wilson got suspended 7 games. He wasn't a repeat offender, but like the hit was bad enough where like, yeah, you have to suspend him. You have to do something. With the Wilson and the Rangers, Parros said, yeah, fuck that. I ain't gonna do shit about that. And it just, oh my god. That, if you haven't seen what happened, it was Tom Wilson on the Capitals. That was that game versus the second to last game between the Capitals and the Rangers, New York Rangers. And there was like a pile up in front of the net. Buchnevich, I think that's how you say his last name. I don't know. Was on the ground. He had there was just a pile up, and Wilson was there, and he was kneeling there, and he sees Buchnevich, and then starts punching him in the back of the neck, which is dangerous already to begin with. So a scrum ensues. People got bad. Artemi Panarin. He's like the star player for the Rangers. He's insane. I like watching the Rangers because he is he is such a good player. Him, Zibanejad. It's just insane, but I digress. He pulled Wilson away, and then Wilson basically flips him onto the ice. So Artemi Panarin's on the ice, and then that's usually a sign okay, I'm not gonna punch a person while they're down, common sense, common decency. But no, Wilson starts punching him, and I wouldn't say wailing, but it was there were some punches there, punching him while he's down on the ice. Artemi Panarin ended up not playing for the rest of the season. Granted, there was 3 games left, but still. And you want to know what happened? Wilson only got a $5,000 fine for what happened to Buchnevich, not what also happened for Panarin. What? It's insane. I'm sorry. Even looking back on this, even though this happened over a month ago, I am still baffled that was the ruling. And good for the Rangers, for saying, hey, we don't like Parros. We think Parros is unfit for, or was it, I think this statement said, you can probably find it on somewhere, but basically saying that, we think that he's, either unfit for the job or something like that. And the commissioner is yeah, nope, even though I had to step in for the Carlo Wilson incident, I'm going to sue the Rangers for that because I'm going to stand by Parros, even though that ruling was absolutely dog shit. And it ended up with, I forget how many penalty minutes in the next game, because but there was a ton of fighting. It was just, oh my god. And the NHL could have prevented that. And that's what NHL Player Safety is supposed to prevent. They're supposed to prevent people, teammates, and getting revenge for themselves. And it's baffling, but at this point, I'm not even surprised. Whatever. So, now we're going on to the playoffs. So, there was the Kadri incident. If you don't know who Nazem Kadri is, he used to play for the Leafs, and now he plays for the Avs. Avalanche. In 2018, he got suspended because of a bad hit on a Bruins player. Same thing with 2019. 2020, nothing really happened. And then 2021, guess what? He got suspended again. I saw a statistic where like he hasn't played over half of the, I think it was half of the games that his teams have played in the playoffs because he's been suspended, which is like baffling. Like, dude, why? And like, if you saw this hit, it was a bad hit. He deserved to get suspended. And like, he also had the repeat. He didn't have the technical title of repeat offender because like after I think like a year and a half or something like that, it doesn't count anymore. So like for like incident 1 with Wilson, Carlo Wilson, he wasn't a repeat offender, but he got 7 games. For the Wilson versus the Rangers one, he was a repeat offender and he only got a $5,000 fine. Again, I am still baffled by the incident. But back to Kadri. So he was not a repeat offender, but he got, I forget if he was he the one who got the match. It was either him or Ryan Reeves who got the match. It was Ryan Reeves who got the match. Kadri didn't get a match, I don't think. But he, I think, got ejected from the game or something like that. Sent to the locker room. I forget. I don't know. I didn't watch those games, obviously. And he ended up getting an 8-game suspension, which I think, honestly, low-key is one of the main reasons why it cost the Avs the second season. I think if he was there, there would have been like a difference, but I digress. That's for the second half of the video. But like it's a good amount. I think the NHL Player Safety did good on that one, but it's still question. Like it's still like it shows just that there is an inconvenience between the rulings. Do I think there's a bias? I think possibly. Like you look at the Caps, Wilson. I could have seen that's a bias right there, but who knows? So Kadri is a good amount. And then we got Ryan Reeves. Oh my. So if you don't know who Ryan Reeves is, he is a player on the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights. Those helmets. If you haven't seen the golden helmets, they're like these giant gold reflective. Everyone was dissing them for the right reasons, because man, those were ugly. Those were so bad. So bad. Anyways, so he is someone who can be very questionable sometimes when playing. In games 5 and 6, he had a 5-minute penalty in each because he did something questionable. Okay, that's an issue right there. In 2 games, in 2 games you have a 5-minute penalty in each, like. And then in game 7, he shoved someone's head into the goal post in game 7, and nothing was called. The dude obviously looked injured. Nothing was called. NHL Player Safety didn't do shit. And then the next incident happened. And I don't know if I forget if this is game 1 or game 2. I think it was game 1. Of the Avs Vegas series. There was I think it was Ryan Graves. I think that's the name. 1 second. Let me do a quick Google. Sorry, Yahoo, because every single fucking time I restart my computer, it goes straight to Yahoo. Fuck that. I gotta figure that out. But, anyways. Yeah, Ryan Graves. That's who it was. Ryan Graves, had, a questionable hit on someone that ended up with them leaving the game. I forget if he served penalty minutes or not for it, because, again, I don't watch I didn't watch that game. I don't really watch West Coast hockey because I am a Bruins fan. So that happened. And Vegas kind of made it their mission to get back at Ryan Graves, which, again, brings back the conversation of players trying to seek revenge for themselves, which I don't think should happen because that can lead to a lot of bad injuries and a lot of just stupid shit happening. So, there was like a incident, I think, in front of the Colorado net where Reeves ended up like shoving the goalie, and then you saw Ryan Graves, and you want to know what he did? He started headhunting. He started wailing at the dude, sending him down the ice, still punching him. And I think this is the one where he got the match. I think this is the person who got the match penalty, where he was sent out, and that goes straight to the commissioner. That skips over Peros. That skips over the hall monitors. Someone called it. I forget who. I think it was someone on the Steve Dangle podcast. If you ever want a good hockey podcast to watch, highly suggest the Steve Dangle podcast, because that, like, I find that podcast really enjoyable, even though they're all Leafs fans and I fucking despise the Leafs. It's a really good podcast. Highly recommend. I can leave a link in the description. I need to remember to do that. Yeah. And he ended up with the commissioner only getting 2 games for headhunting, and that's ignoring the 2 5-minute penalties that he had in both Game 5 and Game 6, and the shoving someone's head into goal post in Game 7. If he got suspended for what happened in Game 5, if he got suspended for what happened in Game 6, if he got suspended for what happened in Game 7, any one of those, that might have prevented the headhunting that happened. But no. Just no. I swear to God, people are so stupid. Anyways, last incident. The Jets player. Shifley. I was, when I was writing up my notes, side note, when I was writing up my notes, for this, because I have like a Google Docs open of like what, like the main points I want to say. And I just don't know how to spell his name. Whenever I was talking to some people, like I have a hockey server. Whenever I was talking to people, I was like, it's just spam. Or not spam, but like keyboard smash, because I don't know how to spell his name. It's also kind of funny, not gonna lie, but like, I digress. So if you don't know what happened in that one, that was the Jets Montreal game, in which the Jets got swept. Bring out those brooms. I'll get back to that anyways. And what happened is there was an empty net, and I think it was, was it? I forget who it was, but it was his birthday. Great thing that happened on his birthday, I know. It was awful. And the Jets player, Shifley, was trying to skate down to stop the goal, but then he was too late. So he literally turned and changed to fucking slam the guy who scored the empty net goal, which ended up him, like, being hit pretty damn badly. Like, if you've seen the hit anywhere, like, it was a really tough, hard hit that really, like, it was a scary hit. It, like, that hit and the Tavares hit that happened in the Montreal Leafs game, that was another really scary hit. It's just like, oh man, like, I hope like he's all right. That's always like the priority, is hoping that they're all right. But and the Canadiens player basically kind of landed on the side of his head when falling to the ice, and he looked like he was unconscious. And who was the player? There was a player on the one second, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh god. Sorry. Oh my god. There's a player on the Jets team. I forget his name. Ehlers. I think it was Ehlers. Who like literally was like there was like a fight starting to like break out, tussle, because everyone was pissed. This dude just scored an empty net goal and you're pounding him to the ice, knocking him out. I don't blame him. But Ehlers was standing there, literally like holding them back, which huge props to him. You know, huge props. But anyways, like, it was just such a bad hit. And I don't think, like, it was just, like, you would have to look at the back of the footage. If you don't want to, I don't blame you. It was a nasty hit. But, like, he ended up getting 4 games for it. And I think that was a good suspension because Scheifele doesn't have a history with this shit. Doesn't have a history, unlike, I think, everybody else that I listed here. And I think it was a good amount, but I think it just shows how terribly inconsistent NHL player safety is. And if you want, it's hard to, like, understand rulings when it's just this inconsistent. And there was a tweet that, after the Kadri incident happened, there was a tweet that NHL Player Safety sent out saying that this is the definition of a repeat offender, and, like, you guys shouldn't be making assumptions, and yada, 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 or something along those lines. And I'm just here, like, you're the ones you're the ones that are causing the questions about repeat offenders to pop up. If you weren't so inconsistent with all of the calls, or all of the rulings and suspensions and fines as they are, then this wouldn't be a question. But because they are so inconsistent, the question of repeat offenders, are people really repeat offenders and stuff, that's why the question is there, because it's so terribly inconsistent. And it's really annoying when you look at it. Like, when you look back, like, you see some of these hits that should have been more, and nothing happens. And then you have people like, well, what about this hit then? Why is this hit getting so much? And it really can lead to a slugfest, like what Wilson and the Rangers ended up being. So, yeah. Anyways, so that was my little rant about NHL player safety. How long was it? It was like 20 minutes? Okay. I have so many issues with NHL player safety, but I digress. Whatever. So now we're going to be going on to the playoffs and kind of just, like, going through each of the series. I should probably add, hold on a second, I'm going to write down the second round matchup so I remember to talk about that. There's Bruins, Islanders, oh my god. Sorry, the Saints, guys, the Saints. Avs, Vegas, Canes, Tampa Bay. That's an inside joke, but it's so good. And then Jets versus Canada. I mean Canadians, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Okay, so starting off with the first matchup, which I'm going to talk about, are the Bruins versus the Washington Capitals. That was a really good series. That was a fun series to watch. Other than, like, the first game, that was a little, like, the Bruins lost. I think they won at 5, right? Let me just do a nice little check on that. Yeah, because they lost the first game, then they won the next 4. I mean, it was a really good series. There was, like, definitely a lot of hard hits. It was really cool, actually, seeing Chara play against the Bruins, the team that he used to play with for so long. Which it's kind of insane, but, like, not really. I don't know if he's going to stay there or not. Beats me, but... Yeah, let me pull up my bracket. I'm gonna go on with my bracket too to show you just how, like, fucked it is now. None of the teams I chose got into the Final 4. Anyways, yeah, Bruins 1 and 5. It was a good series. It was a bit ago, so I can't remember, like, a ton about it. There wasn't really any, like, really questionable hits where I was like, what? Wilson was tame. He wasn't being an asshole and, like, destroying people. So that's always good. But yeah, I thought it was overall a good series. Rask played well. I one thing I hate is all the, like, the nonsensical, like, hate that Rask gets. Like, I'll go on to that later when I talk about the Bruins versus the Islanders. But, like, a lot of the hate that the Rask gets, I feel like, is so unwarranted and not justified. Yeah. But anyways, next is the Pittsburgh versus the Islanders series. I wouldn't say I'm surprised. Like, I was rooting for Pittsburgh. I had Pittsburgh in 5, which is a little stupid of me, but also, like, if they had a better goaltender, no offense to Jari, but if they had a better goaltender, I think they could have won. Throwing that out there. If they had a better goaltender, I think they could have won. Their goaltending, I think, was the main reason why, one of the big reasons why they just didn't do well. I remember seeing, like, that, I think it was, like, a picture or meme or something like that, of the one giveaway that Jari had, where, like, there was so much area to pass to that wasn't an Islanders player, but then he ended up passing to an Islanders player. Yeah. I think if they had a better goaltender, they could have won that series, and then you would have seen Boston versus Pittsburgh, which, not gonna lie, I still think Boston would have won that, but, so, yeah. And, you know what, I'll just do, like, the East Division, totally, and I'll go Central, West, and then North, because North is a shit show, and I find it hilarious. Like, I find it so funny, just looking back at, like, what happened in the North. I'm like, oh my god, that happened? Anyways, so my original matchup in my bracket at least was Boston versus Pittsburgh, and I had Boston winning. It ended up being Boston versus New York Islanders, or New York Saints, if you want to go along with that joke. And the Islanders ended up winning. I am frustrated. I am sad because I am a Boston fan. But also, one thing that I often see with the Bruins, and I think it's something that is always brought up in conversation, I think rightfully so, is it often just feels like the top line of Pastrnak, Bergeron, and Marchand, and McAvoy. Like, those are the only people that can score. Everyone else is just there. Those are the ones that, like, you're relying on for the game. And you cannot... And Rask, of course. But Rask, was playing through... Was it a torn labrum or something like that? He had a hip injury that he needs surgery for. And I think that at that point, you just need to pull Rask and you need to put Swayman in for the rest of the series. I think that was a stupid mistake on what's it called? On Bruce Cassidy's part. I think they should have had Swayman in Game 6. And if they won Game 7, because also the Bruins played better with Swayman, because they actually, they're like, oh, this is the rookie, we gotta really... I don't know. I don't know the mentality, but, like, yeah. I just... They should have, like, pulled Rask, put Swayman in. They can't rely on just the top line and McAvoy to score. It has gone better with Hall here, and I want Hall to come back personally. Like, if you follow me on Twitter, you can see that I want Hall to stick around. I think if I go to my profile, did I say something on my profile? I think I did. I tweeted out, where is it? Where is it? Oh, that pasta missing the empty net. Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on... I was like, before and during the Taylor Hall trade, why the hell are the Bruins trading for him? He's so bad. Now, if the Bruins don't keep Hall, I swear to God, I will march to Boston and demand they keep him. And I'm not lying when I say that. Like, he really helped. Like, he activated Krejci, because Krejci was having, like, a down year. He wasn't scoring a bunch. And then after he came, he and Krejci kind of went on a bit of a run. I think that's handy to start to get that secondary scoring going. The Bruins just need scoring other than the top line. Like, the top line, I hate calling it the perfection line because there's no such thing as perfection, and stuff like that, and they do make mistakes, aka Pasta missing that wide open net. Oh my god. Oh my god, that was so bad. That was so bad. But, like, they really need to figure out, like, a way to get secondary scoring going, because they're not going to be able to make it far. Like, the core is aging. They need more youth. They need to really start, like, getting youth in, or younger people, and really just trying, like, have a semi-rebuild. I don't think they need a full rebuild yet, but yeah. And then, like, some of the calls, like, I'm not gonna fully blame the Bruins loss on the refs. No way. The Bruins did not play great. They rely too much on the top line, and when the top line gets shut down, they can't do anything. Rask was injured. They should have put Swayman in. That much, I think, is a given. But some of the calls that I saw were questionable at the very least. Like, looking at it, some of the calls were just very questionable. There was the hit on, I think it was, who was it? Lazar. That sent him out of, like, the game injured. Like, that hit, that was like a cross-check to the head. That should have been called, but nothing. Like, Krejci, like, when Krejci speared Barzal, like, yes, you shouldn't do that. That's going to get called. What the fuck do you expect? But also, it's something that you have to call, like, the 4 cross-checks on Krejci. Like, the calls were just inconsistent, which is annoying, but that also shouldn't determine the game. The Bruins should also be able to score, which they can't. Aside from the top line, they can't. So, yeah. Anyways, next on the list, Carolina and Nashville. Now, that was actually an interesting series. That was a good series. Personally, I'm surprised Nashville held in as long as they did, but also not, because goaltending was insane. Good for Nashville for, like, holding in as long as they did. I don't know much about the series. I kind of just like, oh, there's a score. In the hockey server I'm in, there's a Nashville fan in there, so, like, I kind of got, like, periodic updates from them, which was nice. And what was it? There was an overtime game. Let me look that up. There was a long overtime game. That ended up with, like, the Predators winning, and it was a good game. Honestly, it was a. I can't find it. It was like, I think the games overall, I think, were, like, more even than people expected to. And I think that's, like, good on Nashville for doing that, because Nashville was one of the teams where, like, you didn't know who was going to get the 4th spot in the Central. It was Nashville, I think Dallas was in the end in the running for it, or Chicago, though Chicago kind of dropped off. So, yeah. But, yeah, it was very interesting. But good for Carolina for winning. They ended up losing later, but yeah. Next we had the Battle of Florida, Tampa Bay versus the Florida Panthers. Oh, and for the Carolina one, Carolina and Nashville, I had Carolina winning in 6 games, and I was actually correct on that. I am quite surprised, but yeah. So Tampa Bay versus the Florida Panthers. That series was interesting. I'm surprised it didn't go to 7. I wanted the Panthers to win. I hate Tampon Bay. If you don't know, okay, why I call it Tampon Bay as a joke is, one time I was talking to my mom about Tampa Bay, and she thought I said Tampon Bay, and she got so confused, and I just started dying. Me and my sister started dying laughing. We're like, yeah, no, Tampon Bay. So now I call them Tampon Bay, because I hate them. Though I do want them to beat the Islanders, because fuck the Islanders. I digress. But yeah, like, I think my least favorite teams, on, like, a side note, from my least favorite to, like, semi-least favorite. So my least favorite is Leafs. Fuck the Leafs. I hate them, and I will go on a rant about them later. Yeah. And then Tampa Bay. Probably the Capitals after that. And then the Islanders. Those are probably, like, my 4 that, like, I just don't like. You know? But yeah. Anyways. So, Florida versus the Battle of Florida. I heard it was like a really good series. I didn't watch any of the games. I only really watched, like, Boston games. And maybe, like, I think I saw, like, a couple scenes from, like, the last game of the Leafs versus the Canadiens. So, yeah. But it was a pretty intense series. I wish the Panthers pulled out because fuck Tampa Bay. But I'm not surprised that Tampa Bay won because they're 18+ mil over the cap. If the NHL really wants to get some money, like, fine Tampa Bay. Like, fine their asses. Because I'm sorry, you've already fined, like, so many coaches and so many players. It shows that you guys need the money. So go find the people who are actually abusing the system right now. I mean, good for them for finding a loophole that could work to get you, to help you win the cup and keep core together. But also, like, bruh. Anyways. So Tampa Bay ended up winning in 6, and then it went to Tampa Bay versus Carolina. I wish Carolina won. I really did. But they also looked kind of flat against Tampa. It's just Tampa's really good, and goaltending-wise, Tampa has the upper hand. They've always had the upper hand in goaltending. I think Vasilevsky, I think that's how I pronounce his last name, is insane. He's insane. Like, there's no other way to put it. So yeah. Like, good goaltending can help you a ton. Goaltending can steal games, but you also need to put the scoring with it, which Tampa Bay also has, because, damn. Like, I think it was a joke that was on the Steve Dangle podcast I mentioned earlier, about how, like, Tampa just has, like each and every line is, like, their first line, because they all play so well. So, like, it's not surprising that they won. So, yeah. Moving on to the West Division. Starting off with Colorado versus the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis Blues got swept. Take out those brooms, everybody. It was great. I'm not surprised. Colorado, before they faced off against Vegas and literally had the largest faceplant I think I've ever seen. Sorry, second largest faceplant. Second or third, because the Leafs, but yeah. Like, they just played really well. Like, Landeskog and McKinnon are beasts. Like, McKinnon is a fucking beast of a player. Like, if you shut him down, it shows just, like, how much that can influence the rest of the game. But yeah, like, it's insane. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, he played really well. Am I surprised? Not really, no. And also St. Louis is kind of like that 4th seed that was like, it was between them and Arizona, and it was like, no, you take it, 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 no, you take it. It was like a constant back and forth going on there. So yeah. Kind of insane, but not really. Also, St. Louis is like, they also had to deal with like a lot of injuries and like just problems on like line-wise, which I think also didn't help, so I will give them the benefit of the doubt there, but also it's St. Louis. But also I can understand. I'm conflicted. Next matchup. Vegas versus Minnesota. Now, I had Vegas in 6. Vegas ended up winning at 7. Minnesota honestly had a chance there. And if Minnesota won, like, who knows where we would be now. But, like, damn. Minnesota really held themselves in. Vegas almost had I think it was, was it against the, what game was that? I think it was against the Sharks, where they, like, almost, like, lost, like, or they lost the 3-game lead. or something like that. I might be stupid. I probably am. Anyways, it just looked like Minnesota could have made the comeback. They were so close to making the comeback. It's kind of sad that they didn't, but also Vegas. Fleury has been insane this season. He has been insane in the postseason. Especially when you look at the Colorado Vegas series, damn. Good for Vegas, honestly. I hate Vegas, but also, I don't know anything about Minnesota, so I'm okay, Vegas, yeah, sure. They dominant. Honestly, I think the Colorado-Vegas matchup that I'm going to talk about right now, that honestly could be more impressive. Two, powerhouse, largest powerhouses against each other in all of the playoffs. It was really intense. The first game, it was kind of, expected for Colorado to win because they've had such a long break. And it was against, Vegas was just so tired. And they had Leonard in to give Fleury a rest. And people are giving shit to Leonard because, he lost the game. I think it's better that Fleury rested because now look at where you guys are at. You guys are moving on to the semifinals. Damn, okay. Why are you getting so frustrated about it? Anyways, so yeah, it was just a really good series. Do I think if Kadri was in the series that things could have been different? Possibly. I think him being out just really doesn't help the team. And I think it's going to cause a lot of questions for teams in the future if they ever want Kadri to be is this guy going to show up, or is this guy going to be someone that is going to get suspended in the first round? Because it's 3 out of the last 4 playoffs he's been suspended in the first round. He's a good player. He just does some really questionable things sometimes. But yeah, and I think another thing that kind of just helped play to Vegas's success is they were able to shut down McKinnon. McKinnon, he is a beast, but if you shut him down, you can win. And I think he's someone where the stars of a team are really supposed to help carry a team, and I think if you're able to shut down one player, it's so much can happen. You either shut down one player and the team still does well because it's a good team, or you shut down one player and the rest of the team falls dormant. And I think that's kind of what happened with the Avs here. So yeah, Vegas are moving on. Once I'm surprised, I just hope I don't see those ugly ass golden helmets. Those golden helmets are so bad. I hate them. Anyways, moving on to the North. AKA the most chaotic thing I think I've ever seen. I'm going to start off with Edmonton and Winnipeg. We're going to go look at Toronto, Montreal in a second. Get those brooms out, guys, again, because Edmonton got swept. I had Edmonton winning in 6, Winnipeg 1 in 4. I have friends who live in Edmonton, so I was kind of hoping, yeah, maybe Edmonton will do it, but they didn't. I think the larger thing I think should be focused on slightly is the fact that it's been 8 playoff games, in the past 8 playoff games, McDavid has had no calls on him. There's no one has taken a penalty when I guess attacking McDavid, because some of the stuff that I saw, it was kind of ridiculous that there was no call on the player who is at McDavid. Edmonton should have gotten some power plays from that. It brings up the age-old discussion of, does the NHL really give a shit about stars? I don't know. I think it's amusing. So they see that Edmonton got swept, because, haha. Okay. But it also shows just, goaltending is an issue. And it kind of just always has been with Edmonton that I can think of. There was the game where I think the second goal we let in 4 goals in the first 4 shots. That was really funny. But yeah, and also like on a different note, like people who are giving shit to, I think it's Ethan Bear, who had like a questionable, like not really good pass that I think lost him in overtime or something like that. Don't do that. People are making racist ass comments. Don't do that. There is no room for that. Everybody makes mistakes. Every player, your faves, my faves, make mistakes. Can we talk about Pastrnak missing a wide open net, which could have tied the game and could have helped win the Bruins the game? You don't see me making stupid ass remarks. I can just say, he fucked up. He should have scored there. Oh well. There's always next year. I think saying like the racist things that have been said are awful, despicable, should not be said. I think hockey should be for everyone, and the representation that Ethan Bear is bringing to the league by being a Native American player in the league, I think is great, and I think we need more of it. There's just no room for racism and racist remarks like that. I applaud the Edmonton Oilers. I think the NHL also spoke up on this and saying that you guys can't do this. Like, you shouldn't do that. It's not right. I think that's what you should do. But yeah, like that. There's just no room for that. Now, moving on to the clown show that is Toronto. When I say I was rolling on the floor laughing, I was rolling on the fucking floor laughing. It was hilarious. The Toronto Maple Leafs gave up a 3-1 series lead to the Montreal Canadiens, who were the last people to qualify for the playoffs. Almost didn't qualify for the playoffs because other teams still had a fighting chance. Everyone was like, oh yeah, they're going to lose. They're going to get swept. And look at them now. They were the first team to qualify to the semifinals. It's hilarious. Oh my god. When I saw, at first, the first game, you had the Tavares hit. And that was scary. I saw that and I hope Tavares is still doing good. I saw that, he had the thumbs up. He tweeted out thanking everyone for wishing him well, wishing him good health. As much as I hate and despise the Leafs, I will never wish harm on anybody, and I'm glad that he's doing better, and I hope he's fine to play hockey again, because that could have been a career-ending injury right there. And I will say in Corey Perry's defense, it was Corey Perry that had the knee in his defense. He couldn't avoid that. He looked like he tried and he just couldn't. He also looked shaken up after that, and I think the fact that he had to fight after that, I think, was pretty stupid. Kind of took away from everything that happened. That fight, I was like, why is that happening? What's the point of this? Why? Just why? But anyways, so it's kind of understandable why Toronto lost that first game, because that's something that's, you saw your captain being stretchered off the ice. He collapsed when trying to one of the medics were trying to shift him to a more stable position, I think, and that was scary. And also to the news outlets that were showing that picture around for clicks and stuff like that, fuck you guys, that is disgusting. You could have had a picture of him, just a picture of him on the ice or something like that, not when he is blood dripping down his face. That was, again, as much as I despise Leafs, I can't stand by that. That is not okay. Yeah. So then Toronto won the next 3 games. It looked like they were going to win in 5, And then they laid an egg. And then playoff Carey Price is a beast. Holy shit, he's a beast. He's insane. my lord, like he really is like, let me go grab my backpack real quick. I want to win a cup finally, and I honestly, I hope like he can win a cup, like, cause he's insane. He needs to win a cup sometime, you know, like him and Lundqvist, like let them win a damn cup. Anyways, he's just like, it was insane, and then the 6th game happened, and they won again. And then the 7th game happened. And Montreal, like Toronto, no offense to Toronto, but I mean, I think they know, fans know this. They didn't look like they fucking tried in the last game. What? They kind of were just like, okay, my golf clubs are in the locker room. Like I already cleaned off the dust off of them yesterday, so might as well just get them out, you know? Oh my god, like, it was insane that, like, they just looked like they didn't try. Like, you can still win this. You can end the streak of being able to move past the first round. For as long as I've been alive, they have never won in the first round. That is insane. What? Yeah. Like, it's baffling. Like, it just looked like they didn't try. And people who are going to blame this on Campbell, don't blame it on the damn goaltender. They're the 2 guys who have, like, I think it's like $10.9 million and $11 point something million. They did jack shit. They combined for 1 goal. Yeah, that's it. That is it. Like, what? They're paid combined over $20 million and they combined for 1 goal. Like, and people were like, okay, I have a friend who's a Maple Leafs fan. She's like, yeah, no, they're so talented, they're so good. Are they though? Because they can't never perform in the playoffs. They rely on goaltending and secondary scoring, not their first score, not the person who won the fucking Rocket Richard. He could only score 1 goal. And no offense to Mitch Marner, but why is it that 5 out of the 6 penalties that you've taken in the postseason have been over the glass? Puck over the glass. It baffles me. I'm like, honestly, like, shame on, like, the GM for signing them for that much money. And, like, shame, like, I know, like, I think Mitch Marner was like, yeah, no, I want a lot of money. At least that's what I've heard. That was before I was a major hockey fan. But you should have been like, no, I'm the one paying you. You're going to be paid less until you can show that you can actually perform, you know? That's money that I would pay after you, if you're either McDavid or after you win a cup. And show that you can win a cup several times. At least to Mitch Marner. I think Austin Matthews, it's a little more understandable because he's won the Rocket Richard. But also, like, you look at people, and I'm going to go back to Boston. You look at, like, Pastrnak, Marchand, Bergeron. They're not being paid $10 million plus. What? And people were like, oh, well, Carey Price is paid like $10 million plus. Like, yeah, because he showed it. He shows it. Look at them. They're moving on to the semifinals. Now, speaking of Montreal versus Winnipeg. Also, I had Toronto winning in 4, so yeah. Montreal versus Winnipeg. Get out your brooms again, guys. Get out the broom. Sweep. That was the Jets. Like, granted, I guess Scheifele being out might have like played a larger role, but I think I can really think because I've never really watched the Jets play. But oh my lord, like, you can't, like, goaltenders can steal a game, but, like, if the goaltender's the only one putting effort, they can't steal a game like that, you know? Like, Montreal just looked dominant throughout. Even after coming out for, like, a 7-game series, they look so dominant. It's just insane. And then playoff Carey Price, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Insane. Am I surprised Montreal won? No, not really. Now at this point, I kind of really want them to see how far I kind of want to see how far they can get. Can they shut down Vegas? Hopefully, honestly, because I'd rather they win over Vegas. I kind of moving on to like my choices for the semifinals. Kind of my choices. I want Montreal to beat Vegas, and I want Tampa Bay to beat the Islanders. My semifinal selections are really screwed because I had my champion, Stanley Cup champion, to be the Avs. I've had them playing against Boston in the finals. I had Carolina versus Boston in the semifinals, and Colorado versus Edmonton in the finals or semifinals. So yeah, I'm gonna look at my league. I'm in a private league. What place am I in? I'm in 6th. I'm not in last though, because the last person's 23 points out of 23 points of possible points. Like there's no more points that I can get. Like everyone's kind of just hit the point where like, yeah, your total points are your total possible points. It's great. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is kind of like a 2-for-1 NHL Player Safety along with the NHL playoffs. I'll kind of like check back in after the playoffs are done and kind of just give my little recap about it. So yeah, but I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for tuning in and have a nice day.